Hello guys and welcome to my review of the Viking Forefathers DLC for Total War Attila. You will get this DLC for free when you pre-order the game. In this video I will review the Viking campaign, the unit rosters and the look of the Vikings in battle. Before we start off, I would like to mention that this video is not sponsored or anything like that, it's just my honest opinion. Hopefully this will help you in your decision between pre-ordering or waiting a bit longer to see what the game is like. I've also done impression videos of both the full game and the unit rosters, links are on the screen right now. I would like to start off with some campaign gameplay and we will look at battles afterwards. So here we are in the new campaign screen of Total War Attila. If you get this DLC you will get this culture, the Norsemen. And of course this DLC will bring 3 new factions, the Viking Forefathers, the Jutes, the Danes and the Geats. So for the traits, the cultural trait which is shared for all Viking factions, they have Viking Raiders, plus 75% income from sacking, looting and raiding. It is not that game changing, but it's a big bonus and it really gives them like the raiding, the invading feel. You really need to just sack, loot and raid to get your money. Then the faction traits, first of all we have the Jutes. They get extra income from every enemy unit destroyed, which is a cool and unique trait. No other faction has something like that. And they also have plus 200% income from raising settlements, which really makes them a raising faction because they also get this plus 75%. The Danes are focused on naval combat, their faction trait is seaborne, immune to sea sickness and immune to high sea attrition. Great trait, they won't suffer any attrition on the sea, and sea sickness normally like ruins the stats of transport units. Not anymore for the Danes, they will just fight with full stats. So a good focus on naval. I think this is the only faction in the game except for the Vandals, which is focused on naval combat. Then the Geats, Cold Blood, probably the best one, plus 10 morale when fighting during the winter, which is decent but normal. And they're also immune to snow attrition, which is huge because there is climate change in this game. The map will get colder and colder, the winters will take longer and longer, and while everyone suffers attrition, you can just keep moving. So for this trait, the main cultural trait isn't that special, but there aren't really like real raiding factions in the game right now. These guys will really be like the raiding, invading, sacking faction in the game. And the traits are kind of cool. They are in line with the other factions. Some are special. All of the factions have like a unique cool trait, like the immune to snow attrition, the immune to seasickness, and for these guys the extra income for every unit destroyed. So the traits are really good in my opinion. Now let's jump into a campaign. So here we are on the campaign map. I'm playing as the Jutes in this one. It's 401 AD and I will give you a quick look at the campaign overview. I haven't discovered that much, but I only captured the Danish capital over here, and the only thing I can see is that the Picts are just destroying the Western Roman Empire over here. But we are here to take a look at the Vikings, of course. First of all, the Vikings do not have their own faction intro before you load up the campaign. It is not that much of a big deal, but it is annoying because the intro of the barbarian kingdoms doesn't really fit the Vikings, so it was kind of disappointing for me personally. So I just wanted to check what differences there were between the normal barbarian factions and the Vikings, and to my surprise there aren't that many. The religion, let me give you a look. The religion is the exact same, Germanic paganism with the same bonus of course. Look at that epic faction leader by the way. They also don't have any unique buildings, so all the buildings are shared with the other barbarian factions. Then for the generals, of course they do have that epic Viking look like this guy, but also other guys, let's see. You can see the helmets, they have the cool Viking helmet, so that is really cool. In my opinion they really have like a Viking feel to them, so that is good of course. You also start out with a big fleet, this is what you start out with. So you get a nice different position with less land units but more naval units. However, I really hoped that at least the generals would get some specific Viking traits because they're focused on naval combat, on raiding, so I hope that some of the traits would focus more on raiding. However, even their skill trees are like exact copy-paste from the other barbarian kingdoms, and this is disappointing for me, so I just want to let you know that this is the exact same as the other barbarian factions. Same goes for the buildings, same goes for the research, everything is the same. The only difference, luckily, is in the chapter objectives. They are shared within the Viking culture, but they do have like unique chapter objectives and final objectives to win the game. So there you have a different target. That is cool at least. So it's kind of, there isn't that much different on the campaign map. Of course, the regions they start in are cool. In my opinion, one of the coolest starting positions in the game, like on the real edge of the map, ready to invade everything in the south. You can really plan your strategy, go by sea to Britain, go by land. So they bring some cool gameplay with them, but the main mechanics of the game are the exact same as the other barbarian kingdoms, especially the Saxons, because they're like Nordic as well. So the campaign, mixed feelings. They have the cool Viking feelings, but I was hoping for more improvements and more new, like different things like skill trees. So now let's take a look at the faction rosters of the Vikings. So here we are on the custom battle screen for Attila, and I first want to start out by looking at the Saxons, and that is because they also have access to the basic Nordic roster that the Viking roster is also based on, basically. So a lot of Viking units are already available in the free Saxon faction. So what I want to do is just show you the Viking rosters, and I will show you all the units that are not available to the Saxons. So I will pick the Danes because they do not have unique land units, only unique naval units. So these two units are all available to the Saxons. The Viking Captain General unit is new though. For the Spear Infantry, all spear units, all basic spear units are all available to all other Nordic factions, including the Saxons. Their Pike unit is also available to the Saxons. For melee infantry we have some differences. The Nordic Band and Nordic Brigade are also available to the Saxons, but the Wolfcoats, the Herdmen, and the Herdmen, yeah, they are unique for the Viking factions. The Nordic Warriors, the Elite Nordic Warriors and the Chosen Warriors, however, are also available for other Nordic factions, including the Saxons. Now in X-Infantry we have a couple of differences as well. The first two units, Nordic X-Warriors and Nordic X-Warmen, are also used by the Saxons, but the last two, like really elite X-units, are only used by Vikings. The Viking Raiders and the extremely awesome Norse Berserkers are really expensive Berserker unit. Then for missile infantry, bow infantry and slingers are the exact same. For skirmishers, troll skirmishers are unique and new. But the other three, Nordic skirmishers, Nordic brigands and Nordic javelinmen, are all used by the Saxons as well. In the cavalry department, the Vikings really lack. They do not have access to any shock cavalry, for example. Nordic mounted raiders are Saxon, Nordic horde raiders are also Saxon. Nordic horse are Saxon. Only these Viking Raider cavalry unit is only for the Vikings. The skirmisher Nordic Raiders and the Warhound is also for the Saxons and other Nordic factions. So the really new all-around Viking units you get are the Viking Captain General, you get the Wolfcoats and the Herdmen, you get the Viking Raiders and the Norse Berserkers, you get the Troll Skirmishers and the Viking Raider Cavalry. However, we also have, for the Geats, we have the Troll Spears and the Troll Spearmen as unique units. So more spears for them. And we have the Jutes. They have access to, let me show them, yeah, to the Huskarls and the Royal Huskarls, which are amazing units with enormous charge bonuses. They look really cool. So for the unit rosters, in my opinion, they are a bit too similar to the Saxon roster. They don't really add anything. The main difference is that these Viking factions have more X units and are more infantry based, and the Saxons are more based on cavalry. They have more cavalry units but worse X infantry. But overall they are really not that different, and especially the Viking units compared to each other, there are not that many differences between the Vikings, only like a couple of units. Now let's take a look at naval battles as well, because of course the Vikings are known for it. However, they aren't that different as well. This is for example the Geats naval ship roster, and if we switch to the Saxons, we have even more melee ships. And all the other ships are pretty much the same. The Vikings have the exact same ships as the Saxons, only a bit less in some departments. So in my opinion this is not a good decision, because the Vikings need to have better ships. For example, the Alans even have better ships, you see? So that is weird in my opinion. However, the Danes have two more dragon ship ships, and those are bordered by Nordic Berserker Marauders and Nordic Chosen Marauders and Elite Norse Marauders. They are unique units only available to the Danes, so the Danes are a Viking faction with good ships, which really makes their focus on naval ships more. So as a conclusion, first, the campaign, we don't have unique faction intros, We do have cool traits. The traits are cool for the Vikings in my opinion. However, there aren't that many differences on the campaign map. Unit skills, researches, technologies, buildings, everything is the same as other barbarian kingdoms. They do have cool regions and a cool starting position on the map though, and their characters, like their units and their generals, have a really unique Viking look. I like the look. You really have the feeling you're playing as the Viking faction, even though the main campaign is the same. Chapter objectives are different as well. Then for the unit roster, it is a cool unit roster filled with Nordic units, but it's very close to the Saxon roster. The only difference is that they have more infantry but less cavalry. It isn't like a completely different roster though, so that is kind of disappointing for me. They aren't bad units though, it's a fun roster, but it's kind of the same. The three factions are also really similar, both in gameplay and in units. The only difference are really the main traits in the campaign, and of course some of the units. The Danes focus on naval combat and the Jutes have cool X-infantry of course. I'm disappointed in the naval part, except for the Danes. I would expect some more and unique ships, like factions like the Alans, who aren't even focused on naval combat, are now better in naval than the Vikings. So to finish it all, in my opinion, the Vikings DLC is still a good DLC and a fun DLC to play with. They bring cool factions, but it isn't like you don't need it to enjoy the game. So probably, do you need to pre-order this game because of the Vikings? No. You want to pre-order this game because you want to play it on release, not because of the Vikings, but because you really don't need them. The Saxons kind of bring the same kind of gameplay. Of course they are a bit different. However, are they fun? Yes. But are they really needed? No. That's my opinion. I would personally buy them as well, just because I like playing different factions, but it isn't the best DLC I've seen for all Total Wars, and that's just my feel about them. So you will have to do with that opinion today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope that I will see you guys next time.